Yo, what's up? It's Mikonis fan. PlayStation Experience was this last weekend, and everyone's had an opinion on it, so I figured I'd get mine out there too. As a whole, everyone in my circles seemed to not care at all. Everyone said, "Oh, nothing was announced. It was boring." Blah 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 blah. I'm like, well, okay. I want to watch through the whole thing myself and see what I think. So I did, and I got an opinion. Already reaching for water. I just wanted to kind of go through things, kind of highlight by highlight, and just kind of give my thoughts on it. I'm using IGN's kind of recap as a reference here. It was done up by Jared Petty, probably one of my favorite people at that site. So let's go through. The one thing he didn't mention. Oh wait, there was a sizzle reel first. Let's talk about that a little bit. Yeah, they had that thing where there's like some old guy going like, "Oh, games today, oh, they're not like they used to be," and blah, blah, blah. I was like, okay, that's a little weird, but, whatever. I guess it was kind of funny, it was just a little awkward, I think, personally, but... So they had this sizzle reel that opened the show. Always great, bunch of games that I don't think were at the show, but, So it opened up with the Uncharted 4 demo, and there was the little Game Awards showing earlier in the week as well of some more Uncharted 4 cutscene footage. And I think there was some more shown that day at a panel. And, before all of this, I was like, I don't really want to see any more of Uncharted 4 because I'm pretty already convinced it's fantastic and I don't want to know anything more about it. Then they showed off these 3 clips and I was like, okay, I want to know more about it. I have a feeling, aside from a launch trailer, this will probably be the last big push of information we get about the story. Obviously, the multiplayer beta is running right now. I haven't really had time to sink into that yet, but the game looks great. Story looks interesting. It's good to see Nathan Drake as like a pencil pusher kind of guy because that's the last thing you associate with that character. So there was that branching dialogue option. I believe the director said that day, Neil, that that's not going to really be a big feature, but there were a few points in the story they thought it would be interesting to include those. So, no harm, no foul. I think that's pretty much just going to be a way for you to pick your favorite Uncharted game and tell, the story of that game to your brother who comes out of nowhere. So, Uncharted 4 looks great. Who'd have thought? Naughty Dog. So speaking of, Sean Layden, the Sony Computer Entertainment America president and CEO, walks out with a Crash Bandicoot shirt on. 90s Crash Bandicoot Naughty Dog shirt, not a Activision logo in sight. Doesn't address the fact at all. I got excited, and, he comes out, and he's like, "Oh, Naughty Dog, what could we put, if that's any indication of the show we're going to have today, it's going to be great," and all that kind of stuff. And I've said as much online lately, so if you follow my Twitter, you've seen an Ask FM response I did where I think that's his way of saying something's happening. I think it's you'll see it at E3 or a little before kind of thing. Because in regards to Crash Bandicoot, obviously that's not Sony's character anymore. That'd be like Phil Spencer walking out Xbox at E3 with a Mario shirt on, just being like, "I just really like Mario." It's like, no, you know exactly what you're doing, walking out into a PlayStation fan-focused event in a Crash Bandicoot shirt after showing a Naughty Dog trailer. So what do I think's going on with Crash? Even before that, even before he walked out with that shirt, I've through some channels heard some rumblings that something's going on with Crash. I wish I had actual insider knowledge and knew what was going on. Obviously, I wouldn't even mention all of this if I did know, because I don't know anything really. But even before then, I've heard a few little things, and I think I think we'll definitely see it at or before E3 next year. I think I want to think that. What was the last thing Activision's done with Crash? There was a mobile kart racing game for iPhone in 2010, 5 years ago. I believe the Crash Bandicoot site died like a year ago or so. Like it just went down, which spurred a lot of rumors of like who owned the IP. You know, I have a feeling like Sony and Activision are really close lately, and like we'll get to that more in a little bit. I'll kind of gloss over it then, but I just don't see Activision letting go of that IP because it is Crash Bandicoot, and as much as they're frankly sitting on it and doing nothing with it right now, that's still a valuable thing to own, even despite the reputation Crash has had post Naughty Dog. And like even with Spyro, like they're not sitting on Spyro anymore. They're doing a Skylanders cartoon, and Spyro is going to be a major character in that apparently because he's one of the first characters they've announced the casting for. So it's not like they're holding on to these IP and being like we're not doing anything with them. It's like they do have plans. So that's what's tricky for me. It's like in my heart, like I said, I want it to be a thing where Sean walks out next E3 and he's like, so we brought a certain someone home and everyone's gonna be really happy, and they got Crash back. Yeah, but I don't know. The second thing that comes up is like even if it's just a partnership with Activision where it's like a PlayStation 4 exclusive Crash Bandicoot or something, like who's gonna make it? It's not Naughty Dog. They don't make that kind of game anymore. Could they? Absolutely. Would they knock it out of the park? Probably, but that's not. I mean, just looking at their recent work, that's just not where their interests are. They want. I mean, they're some of the best storytellers in the games right now. They're not going to go back to like a simplistic, cartoony like Crash Bandicoot. I mean, maybe, but the two predominant rumors for what they're doing if they're not doing an original game after Uncharted 4 those are The Last of Us 2, which there's been quite some hints towards. That would not shock me, especially after the success of Last of Us 1. And the other rumor is that when they were working on the first Last of Us, they were knocking around some concepts for a fourth Jak and Daxter, and it was more of a realistic thing, and Naughty Dog weren't quite happy with the way it was going. Pardon me, and that led to The Last of Us, obviously. So I could see, like it could go either way on that. I don't know, man. Like Naughty Dog is Sony's biggest studio, and as much as Crash is a PlayStation icon, it's like, do you let Naughty Dog work on like The Last of Us 2 or Crash Bandicoot? So who would develop? I mean, it's tough. Like, I went on NeoGAF and read some people's ideas. Some people say Sanzaru Games. They ported the Sly Cooper trilogy on the PS3, and they worked on the fourth entry in that series, and from all accounts I've heard, did a great job with it. And they've done the two 3DS Sonic Boom titles for Sonic the Hedgehog series. The second one is yet to release. That's a thing where it's like, maybe they'd be fine, but I need to see it first from them, because when I think of them, I think of either this kind of 3D, not open world, but open level design ish kind of sneaky game, and some okay side-scrolling 2D games. But I don't think like, oh, this is who I hand Crash Bandicoot to. But at the same time, it's like, I just can't think of anyone else really. Some people have said Insomniac, and like, I think they could do a great job. Honestly, I think Insomniac's a great developer, but it's like, no matter who you hand it to, I gotta see it first, And like, did they go the Naughty Dog direction for Crash, or did they go the Traveler Tales direction for Crash? Did they go whoever developed the Mind Over Mutant series? Did they take their own spin on Crash? I mean, I don't know. I said I was going to talk about PSX, and I'm talking about something that was a shirt at PSX. But you know what? Fuck it. I mean, it's Crash Bandicoot. So, I mean, all in all, like, if it did go to Sanzaru, there's at least that connection with Jason Rubin, because Jason Rubin is leading, Oculus, and Sanzaru are working on a project for Oculus. So in a way, he could kind of at least be an advisor, I guess. I mean, I don't know. I saw an interview with Jason recently, and he said like he has 15 years of ideas for Crash. Like, I'd love for him to be involved, but I'm rambling now. Crash Bandicoot. But like, back to my original point. It's happening. Like, no, it's happening. I can think of two other shorts. Two other shirts Sean wore that foretold, air quote, things. He made that Vib Urban mistake at E3, rather infamously, and then at that E3 when he like had that head smack moment of like, oh right, I wasn't in this market, but Sony America never released Vib Urban here, and I just went out and just fucking teased everyone with this thing. Get Vib Urban. I want Vib Urban like on the double, like ASAP. Get that ready. And he's the head, so he just snaps his fingers, and they started working on that immediately. And he wore that shirt, that Vib Urban shirt, in the Ice Bucket Challenge, and which was a self-admitted like, hey, this is happening, and I can't say it yet, but here's a pulse for anyone who's still hoping for that. And Vib Urban was released for the first time in America on PSN that year. He wore a God of War shirt at last PSX. Someone with Santa Monica said, let slip that they are working on a new God of War, and God of War 3 Remastered was announced after that. Maybe that one's more related, maybe the other one's more related. I don't know, but you don't walk out on stage with that tight-fitting shirt for a character that you, to the public's eye, don't own, and not have something up your sleeve. I mean, sorry. Like, if I look like a fool in a year or two and I was completely wrong, okay, that's fine. But for right now, like, I'm convinced. So anyway, how long did I talk about that? Oh my god. Okay. Way too long. So, moving on. Sean did that whole, like, wow, we opened with that. What could we follow with? And it's like, oh, Final Fantasy VII Remake. I was very shocked that they are showing gameplay for this early. We found out later in the weekend that Final Fantasy VII Remake is going to be split into parts, which makes that make a lot more sense to me. Never played FF7, but this trailer got me really excited. A lot of people were upset that they're switching to an action RPG. To some extents, I can see that. To other extents, I say, if you want that old game, they made that old game available, and it's right there. If you want that experience, and I can understand wanting it prettier, but if you look at everything Square Enix is doing, I mean, so many of their franchises I've kind of gone the Kingdom Hearts action RPG route. I mean, that's just the market these days. That's what sells. I can't see them putting all these like huge graphics into a menu-driven ATV system. I mean, it'd be great, but it's just not going to work in today's climate, So they're doing something smart, and I think this trailer, like, they showed that gameplay, and like if you look, it's really choppy. It drops frames like crazy. I like to believe this is a new direction for Square. I mean, between how open they've been with Final Fantasy 15's development, how much they've been assuring that's making it in 2016. I mean, just from an outside looking in, like, I don't really follow Square Enix, but I've seen like a big shift in their attitude over the last year, and I think this trailer is just another way of furthering that. So, as a non-Final Fantasy VII fan who will be playing Final Fantasy VII soon on PS4, this remake, I mean, it looked pretty cool. Definitely we'll get to this a bit later. I think maybe they should have saved these two things for the end of the show, but it certainly wasn't a bad way to open it. So Kitase-san and I believe Nomura-san took the stage to talk a bit about it. They said Final Fantasy VII Original is now out on PS4. That was a really good move. Shelby Cox came out, and she's according to the article, Partner Alliances, Publisher and Developer Relations for Sony Computer Entertainment America. Announced the partnership for the new Call of Duty World League. I don't play those games, but I'm sure that's a cool thing. Announced a new map pack coming in 2016. I believe that is exclusive to PS4 for a bit. Pardon me. So, that's not my thing, but that's furthering that Sony-Activision relationship, and Call of Duty is now thriving on PS4 instead of Xbox because, PS4 is just completely dominating everything. Gearbox CEO Randy Pritchford was next up, writes Jared, revealing a new character for Battleborn called Toby, who is a penguin driving a mech suit. I think Battleborn is a MOBA. Maybe I'm wrong on that. It's not my interest. I've played 10 hours of Dota 2 to try and get into it, and it hit me like, if you want to play this, you've got to dedicate. And I enjoy following the video game industry too much to dedicate that much time to just one game. So it's just not my style. And maybe this one's more approachable, but just in general, like, it's not my kind of thing. As far as this character, he seemed very lol, so random XD. I mean, it's like, okay, it was a little. I skipped ahead. I was watching this after it had aired. I skipped ahead. No offense. The game looks all right. So Capcom's Yoshinori Ono took the stage to talk about a new Street Fighter V character called Fang. He's kind of a, I don't know how to describe it, very loosey-goosey kind of character. I don't play Street Fighter, never played it, but if I was going to play Street Fighter, this looks like a character I would play. Oh, hey, my sound's on my phone, sorry. It looks like a character I would play, so, hey, makes sense that they'd have more Street Fighter V talk, because that's their big deal with Capcom. And the 6 additional characters are coming over the next year. I don't know if those are the ones who leaked. There's Alex, Guile, Balrog, Ibuki, Juri, and Irian. They've talked about their model before, where you can earn those characters with in-game currency, or you can just buy them. Brilliant. I think that's going to wash away a lot of the Capcom stigma. I think that's the way they got to go moving forward, because they can't keep pushing out these packaged Street Fighter titles that are just updates. And I think they realize that. So this is incredibly smart, and I'm glad they're doing that. I think everyone's really happy they're doing that. Sony Computer Entertainment's director of third-party productions, Gio Corsi, stepped up, and he's my man in that jersey. He revealed Escape Run, a new mode for Dead Star, which I kind of spaced out on, honestly. 6 2016 games by Adult Swim. These ranged from okay looking to interesting. Raise the Dead, I think, was one that looked fine for me. Double Fine's Headlander, that game looked cool. Then Tim Schafer walked up, and they announced Day of the Tentacle Remastered. I wouldn't mind that being a yearly thing where a classic video game gets announced for a fine remaster on PSX. I've played some of Grim Fandango Remastered, and I'm quite fond of that, so I assume Day of the Tentacle was in a similar vein. And they announced the Full Throttle Remastered. And, that's great. Then they announced Psychonauts in the Rhombus of Ruin. Psychonauts 2 was announced for being open for crowdfunding at the Game Awards. It's weird to me. I'm sure there is a business deal here. I'm not sure how they are doing in the Rhombus of Ruin, but need crowdfunding for Psychonauts 2. I'm assuming Rhombus of Ruin is a very small experience. Maybe Sony's paying for that kind of thing. But, there's some debate about Schafer's crowdfunding thing going on here. I won't touch on it. I don't know anything about it. I just hope that Psychonauts fans get the games they deserve, because Psychonauts fans who love Psychonauts love Psychonauts. So if they get more out of this, then good for them. There's a trailer for Don't Starve Together. Not my kind of game. Looked cool. Kill-Op's pretty neat for that kind of thing, I think. He revealed a trailer for the console debut on Zodiac Orkan and Odyssey. I believe previously that was just a Vita title, but now it's on PS4 kind of thing. It has some legacy or famed RPG contributors on it. I couldn't think anything but think, oh, that looks like every RPG ad I see on my phone when I'm playing a mobile game and it shows me an ad. I hate it. I hate to think that. It just looks like it. And it kind of looks like some great Final Fantasy, classic artwork-ish kind of thing, but at the same time, the way the characters animate and move, it just stinks of a bad mobile game thing to me. And I hope they're just unaware of that and that's not a style they're aiming for, because I don't know. Hitman Go is coming to PS4 and Vita, which I've heard very good things about that and Lara Croft Go, I believe, or Tomb Raider Go. It's either one. So that's pretty cool. I mean, I've never played Hitman, but I hear really good things about those games, those Go games. So, Brawlhalla coming to PS4 and Vita with exclusive content. Never played it, but now everyone, there's a few things that everyone probably had their biggest deal of the show. Some people, Final Fantasy VII Remake was their big thing. For some people, a little RPG we'll talk about later was their big thing. For me, the big thing was Yakuza 5 was announced a year ago at PSX, and to give you an idea of what it's like for a Yakuza fan, you spend, after every game comes out and you beat it, and you look online and you see like, oh, this Yakuza game barely sold, and you go, oh no, and then you go 3 years and Sega is very quiet, or, you go years, Sega's quiet about it, and you're like, oh well, I guess this series is just Japan only now, I guess we're not seeing the rest. And then last year, Gio Corsi walks out, that beautiful, beautiful man, and says Yakuza 5 on PS3, English localization coming west, and you want to kiss that man and buy him a beer, baby. But it took a long time, but a year later, we finally got it. I played some of it. It's fantastic. It's my favorite Yakuza so far, and I'm only a few hours in. It's just great. And then he announced what was my joke prediction, and actually happened, but Yakuza 0 is coming west for PS4. I'm hoping this game's a prequel. I'm hoping this can breathe some new life into the series and get more people in. It was incorrectly marketed as a Grand Theft Auto type game years ago, around its debut, when really it's more of like a Japanese simulator / RPG with beat 'em up battle mechanics, as opposed to like sword and magic kind of thing. It's such a good series, so good, and I hope people can get into it going forward. PlayStation continued its partnership with SNK Playmore with the release of Last Blade 2 and the PS4 console exclusive release of King of Fighters 14, Jared Petty writes. Not my kind of games, but that's cool. I like how on the first line in that King of Fighters 14 trailer is just some guy angry looking. It's like, I'll get you this time. It's like, you fought 14 times now. Maybe, maybe you just kind of give up that dream. Koei Tecmo's Team Ninja showed off Neo with an exciting gameplay trailer. The game was originally announced for PS3 more than a decade ago under the name Akira Kurosawa's Oni, as written by Jared Petty. Yeah, that's great. Sid Schumann and Nick Sutner took the stage, announcing Bastion for Vita, available for $3. I bid for that price, haven't played it yet. The BitTrip 6-game HD package for $10 cross-buy, and upcoming Nuclear Throne. A trailer for new Brutal and ASCII-inspired fantasy game. No opinions on those. MLB The Show 2016, no opinions on those. Scott Rhodes of SCEA talked about a free-to-play thing called Guns Up. Not my kind of thing. Also showed off a new trailer for multiplayer co-op Fat Princess Adventures. Never played any Fat Princess games, but I'm looking to try at some point to get into that, because I do hear a lot about that series, and I've heard it's actually quite good, despite what I would think as someone who knows nothing about PlayStation. Ted Price came out, which was pretty cool to see. Obviously the president and CEO of Insomniac, who is quite close with PlayStation, talked about the evolution of Ratchet & Clank 2016, which is the reimagining of the game, based on the movie, based on the game. And they kind of did a live demo for a few minutes. Looked very good. I've only played a few hours cumulative, of the first 3 Ratchet & Clanks, but I mean, I'm really excited for this. I'm going to try and play those 3 first, and then hopefully enjoy before this comes out and really enjoy it, because oh my god, that game looks good. Aware that some friends of mine, TJ and Gareth, noticed that the cutscenes they showed were actually from the movie trailer, or they suspected that, and then I confirmed that. Yeah. So later that day, I found out Ted Price said some scenes from the game will be in the movie, but otherwise they have separate stories, which I was very glad to hear. According to this article, Ratchet & Clank comes out April 2nd, but I believe Ted said the date was more along the lines of the 12th. Perhaps Jared meant to write that. And the movie is appearing in theaters on April 28th. I hope it's good. They've been quiet about that Sly Cooper movie that's apparently still coming out next year too. I have a feeling that'll get pushed to 2017, and maybe E3 we hear about a new Sly Cooper game to go with that from Sanzaru, because I doubt Sucker Punch is going back to Sly Cooper. They're probably doing something new after Second Son. Dr. Richard Marks showed off a new PlayStation VR kind of competitive game demo-ish, sort of Tron-ish. It kind of malfunctioned for him on stage, which I felt bad for, because he seems like a nice guy, and that just kind of didn't work out for him. And it gave way to a trailer for Res Infinite for PlayStation VR, which shocked me. If out of everything out there for VR right now, if anything could sell me on it, it would be Res. That I can't even imagine playing that in VR. Like that is what I would go out of my way to try a demo for, and it is likely what would make me go home with PlayStation VR. That looked awesome. I was amazed that they had Mizuguchi-san on stage demoing this and then just kind of shoot him off. It's like, you got him right there. Just let him talk a little bit. Oh, God. They made fun of this guy's last name on stage, and it was like, it's hard to pronounce or something. And here I am. I don't remember how to pronounce it. But, the boy Adam Boyce came out, and Assad Kizilbosh? I'm sorry. I'm bad. Took the stage and talked about a host of upcoming PlayStation VR games. Jared wrote, Ubisoft's Eagle Flight, no opinion. Sony Santa Monica's VR game, Modern Zombie Taxi Co. Yeah, I'd need to play it, but I like the idea. It seems like a first-person, weird, fucking crazy taxi kind of thing. Job Simulator, which I must have missed, but I've heard good things. There's Golem by Highwire Games. No idea. I kind of skipped over a lot of the VR stuff, honestly. 100-foot robot golf from the people who made Roundabout. I'm sure that's going to be fantastic. You're just a big giant robot in cities playing golf. Ace Combat 7, I believe that is VR. Never played those. There's a Sparrow Racing League for Destiny the Taken King with PS4 exclusive rewards. I don't play Destiny, but that Sony Activision thing going on, even harder there. It's good for Destiny players. Hob. Ni no Kuni 2 was announced exclusively, or console exclusive for PS4. Still got to play the first one, but everyone's really happy about that. A lot of people, that was their announcement of the show. So, good on them, I'm hoping to have played Ni no Kuni 1 and have an opinion on it before that comes out. And the conference closed with the reveal of Paragon, a new MOBA by Epic Games. It's like I was saying earlier with Battleborn, like a MOBA, it's not my kind of thing. So that's what I was getting at earlier, where they opened with Uncharted 4 and Final Fantasy VII Remake. I think they should have closed with those two titles and had a much stronger closing. That and, it's just... those have much broader appeal to PlayStation fans. That would have been a great... Like, Sean Layden has come out and said he viewed the Paragon thing as his mic drop. Like, he's very happy with that. And, that's good. It's good to see him have faith in that product. But for many people, that was not a mic drop moment. That Final Fantasy VII Remake, even just saving that trailer for last, that's a great mic drop. Like, you bet you weren't expecting to see this early. See ya, bye, and then walks off stage. So, it's just... I wouldn't say it was a bad show. I would say it was actually quite a solid show that maybe should have been reorganized, reshuffled a little. Because if you didn't care about... this has nothing to do with the arrangement of announcements. But if you didn't care about VR, this was a hard sell for you, this conference. If you didn't... if you're already sold on Uncharted, and if you're already sold on Final Fantasy VII Remake, what was announced for you, But they've come out and said, they want PSX to kind of focus on a smaller game. So I think now they've set the expectation going forward. I think both sides kind of misunderstood what the other was doing. I think Sony viewed this as, this is where we'll show off our kind of smaller titles we had coming for our console to our hardcore fans who are most likely to engage with this content. And I believe fans were looking at this as, oh my god, look at everything they have announced this year. I wonder what they have left. what could they possibly announce? Oh man! And then Sean walking out in that Crash Bandicoot shirt, like I think it just put a bad taste in everyone's mouth for what they were expecting the game to be. But all in all, I'd say it was a solid show. I think there was a lot of cool stuff announced, not a lot of stuff that got my blood pumping, but a lot of stuff I would like to play. So overall, I think people were being way too harsh on this conference. I do hope they step it up next year and make it a bit more exciting. But overall, I wouldn't say it was that bad. So those are my PSX impressions. Overall, I walked away. They could have just came out and said Yakuza 0 and walked off, and I would have been happy. That's just where I'm at for it. But thanks for putting up with me rambling. I will have a new Learning to Love PlayStation very soon, either Klonoa 1 or Heavy Rain. I'm doing both. I just don't know which order I'm doing them. But thank you for watching, and let me know what you thought about the PlayStation experience. See you later.